Today we're looking at the DeWalt 20 volt max battery powered pole saw. So here in Florida, I have a lot of palm trees, the coconut palm trees where you have to cut the palm fronds down. And I've also got a lot of sea grape trees in my backyard that overhang my pool as well as the edge of my property. And so I find myself constantly trying to reach high to cut down the branches and the palm fronds. I've had a manual pole saw for years. You've got two options with those. You can use it more as a saw, or if you get some of the smaller branches, you can stick in the lopper and pull down on the rope. And with enough force, hopefully you can pull that and cut through the branch. I bought this more recently as I found myself spending a lot of time and a lot of energy using the manual pole saw, especially on my sea grape trees. This particular unit has an 8-inch bar and chain, and it stands about 9 feet tall when it's fully assembled. Add in my height, you get close to 15 feet when you want to reach up high. And that's from the ground, so you don't really need your ladder. You probably don't want to use your ladder because this is pretty heavy. But it comes in 3 pieces. They connect pretty quickly as well, so you just stick it in, you twist it. So that's the first section, which is 3 feet. You don't have to have that section in if you want to use it for some lower hanging branches. When you connect just the two of them, I think, like I said, it's about a 3-foot pole in the middle there, so it's going to reduce the overall spacing. So it becomes more of a 5 or 6 foot pole. At that point, not sure you totally need, you can grab your chainsaw and a ladder, but either way, it certainly works doing that as well. So you can see this is very long. When all is said and done, can't even get it in the frame easily. But I'll show you the end here, which is where your trigger is. So safety mechanism, just like normal, you would pull back on here and then pull up on the trigger. So if you put a battery in, obviously, it becomes even heavier. So just keep that in mind. But we're going to go ahead and take this back apart for a minute so that you can see the trigger a little bit closer. And so it's a great grip, great handle. Again, you just pull the safety, pull the trigger down, and then you would pull this forward and it would engage. And it's really just that simple. There are a couple of maintenance things to be thinking about. If you go out and buy this, you also need to make sure, just like any other chainsaw, you get bar and chain oil. I already, having had a chainsaw, had some, so I've got my Oregon premium bar and chain oil here that I use. So I just fill this up in here. And then when I'm taking it apart to store it, I do take it apart like this, and I actually put this piece on my pegboard and just drop the hook on my bar there, and then your oil just goes right in here. Similar to the chainsaw, it does become prone to leak. So I typically try and drain out my oil or only put in just enough to use while I'm running it. This is a very simple tool to put together and to use. We're going to go outside in a minute here, and we'll put it to the test and see how well it runs. All right, so we're ready to go here. I've got some sea grape branches here that are overhanging the edge of my property. Quickly, they often will grow right over the fence, and I've got these nice clusias here that really need the sunlight. And so I'm going to go ahead and cut some of these down, and I actually have to do this multiple times a year, which is one of the reasons why I bought this pole saw, this electric one. But obviously you can see this is not by any means a short tool. It takes a little bit of effort to carry it out here. I go ahead and put it together before I bring it out here, just so that I can carry it with one hand instead of having all of the pieces separately. So I've got the battery pack in, and it's not light, so just keep that in mind. But we'll go ahead and grab a couple of these branches down with us. So generally speaking, it works super fast. I would argue that this works just as fast as my normal chainsaw, maybe even faster, to be honest with you. But we're going to compare this real quick just to the regular pole saw and see how it goes. All right, this is my Fisker's manual pole saw. I've used this for years to get down palm fronds from all of our palm trees. We have 6 or 7 coconut trees. As I mentioned, for a very long time, I've had to cut down these sea grapes every year. They also grow on either side of our pool as well. So before I bought the electric battery-powered pole saw with DeWalt, I was using this, and so it certainly got its usage over time. But one of the first things to talk about is the lopper itself. So obviously, if you can find a branch smaller than this, you can put it inside and you can pull the string. Just a couple of housekeeping items. When I put this away, I have to wrap the string around it. Just makes it feel more tidy. That takes a little bit of time, and then obviously unwinding it. You could, in theory, tie a bundle of the string together, wrap it around, but just something to keep in mind from a setup perspective. And then the saw itself, I will unscrew this and fold it down, and so you have to tighten it and loosen it. The one positive with this, though, is that you can change the height very easily. With the pole saw from DeWalt that has the battery, you're kind of stuck with the heights that they've provided for you. So we'll go ahead and see how long this takes to get a branch size similar. We'll try it with the lopper, and then we'll try it with the saw itself as well. We'll actually just come right here just to make it easy to see if we can use the lopper on a branch that we actually just cut off with the pole saw. Just grab another chunk and see. A little bit of effort, not too bad. And then from here, we'll go ahead and saw this branch off and see how long it takes us. And of course, I'm gonna have to go in closer to where the branch comes out, because otherwise I'm just gonna be pulling on the tree all day. I'm already getting all kinds of tree shavings doused into my head. The other thing with this is that because I'm having to go back and forth, it keeps skipping into a new hole. And there we go. So you can see it took much longer just to get that little one off. A lot more effort, a lot of manual effort. Obviously the angle here can be changed as well. Might have done better with the angle a bit more straight, the way I was attacking that the branch that was up there. But all in all, if you're going to be doing this a lot, the manual one works. The battery powered one works much better. Okay, so I've been going for, looks like about 6 minutes here. I just want to show you the carnage. You can see everything that's laying down here that I've already cut down. You can see how thick some of these are as well. We're making some pretty big cuts. Here's the size of my hand for comparison. All right, so we cleaned up all the debris that we cut down. You can see how nice and clean this walkway is now. The camellias are getting the sun that they need. And here's the debris pile that we cleaned up here. And again, all of these were cut down in a matter of 5 or so minutes. And if I had used the manual pole saw instead of that DeWalt battery powered one, this probably would have taken me, I don't know, a half hour or more potentially, depending on if I need to use the lopper or the saw side of it. All right, a couple of obvious pros to the DeWalt battery powered pole saw over the manual. You saw the job that I did. Doing all of the cutting that I needed to do took me just over 5 minutes with that pole saw. Probably would have taken me 30, 45 minutes to do it with the manual. That in and of itself, in my mind, says the battery powered one is worth it, especially given that I need to use it multiple times a year. I get very tired very quickly with the manual one as well, especially if I'm having to use the saw end of it versus the lopper. And even with that lopper, after some time, it starts to get dull, right? So you're gonna have to either figure out a way to sharpen it or swap it out anyway. These are typically $50 or so, maybe 60, 70 nowadays. Might be more expensive than they used to be. I will caveat this discussion. Typically with the other DeWalt products that I talk about, I usually am able to compare them to some of the other brands within that category. I have not used another brand pull saw. I don't even know, honestly, who makes them. I haven't looked into that very much. This is one of my more recent purchases. And given, as you can see, I'm a DeWalt guy at this point with the batteries. I've got so many of these laying around. It just made sense for me to go with DeWalt. Certainly worth exploring some of the other brands, though. This particular tool, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but it is very heavy once you get above your head. They advertise the reach is 15 feet, but then they say that's for someone that's 6 foot tall using it properly around your shoulder height, holding it up. And it is heavy. I am about 6 feet average build, probably average amount of weight that I can carry. And I will tell you, it's not easy. Though this design right here, where you can set it on the branch, does make it very easy to use. So once you get it up into position and you kind of hook it on and you pull the trigger and the branch is just resting here, it actually is very easy to use because the trigger is down there at the bottom where you're holding it. This bar and chain is 8 inches. So they also advertise, I think it says something like a 4x4 piece of pressure treated pine. If I remember the advertisement correctly, is what it can cut through. And they say 90-ish times with the battery that's available. So there's plenty of good things here. Again, I caution you, my opinion, I have not tried others out there. There may be some that are lighter, but overall, the performance-wise, when you're comparing it to a manual versus the battery-powered, there are so many positives. Going with this battery powered, the time savings alone is enough, but the ease of use certainly, and not getting worn out. So hopefully that's been helpful. Leave any comments or questions you have below. Subscribe to my channel as well. You can see all the other videos I've already done on my tools, and I'm doing new ones all the time. But it comes in 3 pieces, and it's very easy and quick to assemble. And I typically, as you can see, I leave it sitting down in the 3 different pieces.